What's up guys, it is Mr. Spud8 here, and today I'm going to be ranking every single Rhythm Heaven DS game in order from easiest to hardest. Now, just so you know, this is my own opinion and yours will be different, so please don't hate me in the comments. Now, the list will be going off of how long they took me to get a perfect on, how hard they are, and how annoying they are. Number 51 on the list will be the easiest, and number 1 will be the hardest. So without further ado, here we go. Coming in at number 51, we have Built to Scale. Now, this is kind of a no-brainer since it is the first minigame, and it's very simple. It's got some very simple patterns, and it just uses do, re, mi, fa, so. There's not too much to say about this game, other than it's really easy, and my easiest Rhythm Heaven game. Number 50 is Philbots. Now, I personally find this game a little bit easier than Glee Club, which is why it's higher. Now, another reason this game is so high on my list is because this was the only game my grandma could get it perfect on. So there you go. It's very simple, you just hold for 4 beats, and there's not really that much to say about it. Coming in at number 49, we have Bluebirds. Now, I personally find this game easier than the other 7 games that are before it, which is why it's number 49 on my list and not lower. So this game is very simple, there's only really 2 cues, and the cues are pretty easy cues at that. So there's not that much else to say about this, so let's move on to the next entry. Coming in at number 49, we have Bluebirds. Now, I personally find this game easier than the other 7 games that are before it, which is why it's number 49 on my list and not lower. So this game is very simple, there's only really 2 cues, and the cues are pretty easy cues at that. So there's not that much else to say about this, so let's move on to the next entry. Coming in at number 48, we have Fan Club. Now, again, there's not that much to say about this game. It's pretty simple. You don't even have to flick, which makes it a little bit easier, because that's the main thing for new players with Rhythm Heaven, is the flicking. It takes a little while to get used to. So that makes this game a little bit easier than the rest of them. Coming in at number 47, we have Glee Club. Now, this is only the 2nd game, and the reason it's so high on my list compared to the others is because it is... when I first played it, I found it a little bit harder. It's kind of weird to hold down rather than tap, which kind of increases the difficulty a little bit. Coming in at number 46, we have Freeze Frame. Now, again, this game is pretty simple. There's not too much to say about it. It is in the 3rd row of games, which kind of makes it a bit of a curveball to throw this high up on the list, but I personally find it really easy. I think it was my first blindfolded perfect, which just kind of adds to how easy it is. Coming in at number 45, we have Moai Doo-Wop. Now, this game was originally higher on my list, but then I remembered just how easy it is. It's a lot easier than its sequel, Moai Doo-Wop 2, which we'll get to later. The only thing about this game is that some of the light taps are hard to... They don't register properly sometimes, so they're kind of hard to... Sometimes it messes up your perfect. So this is the first game that's significantly harder to get a perfect on than a superb. Coming in at number 44, we have Remix 2. Now this is the first remix on my list, and it is also obviously the easiest. The reason this remix is so easy is because it's really slow paced, and it's pretty easy to see what's coming next. See, there's lots of time in between transitions. Coming in at number 43, we have Munchie Monk. Now this is one of my favorite Rhythm Heaven games. And it is also, because of that, it is very easy for me. I've played it so many times, and it's also really short, so I find it really easy. You guys will disagree with me on this one. I just know it. But this is one of the easier games for me. Coming in at number 42, we have Love Lizards. Now, this one, it's not higher on my list because it is a little bit hard, especially in the Remix 10 part. And sometimes it's hard to get it to register your swipes. Coming in at number 41, we have Remix 1. Coming in at number 41, we have Remix 1. Now, the reason this is so much higher on my list than it should be, considering it's only the 5th game and the first remix, is because of the first Glee Club part. I just can't seem to get that timing. I don't know what it is, but I always mess up on it. Other than that, the remix is extremely easy. Being a first remix, it makes sense. Coming in at number 40, we have Shoot 'em Up. Now, this game is really easy because it is a repeat after me kind of game, where it'll do the rhythm and all you have to do is repeat the rhythm, which makes it significantly easier. Coming in at number 39, we have Splashdown. Now, this game is pretty high up on the list for where it is in the Rhythm Heaven game, but I find it really easy. Because it's kind of like Glee Club in the fact that you just kind of have to fill in the gap. It's also kind of like Shoot 'em Up in the fact that it's a repeat after me, but it's also not. It's the closest game I can compare it to is Clappy Trio, which that game is also pretty easy. But this game is super easy once you get used to it. Coming in at number 38, we have Crop Stomp. Now, the reason this game is so high on my list is because the timings are sometimes hard to get, like especially for the flicking. Sometimes I mess up, and just that's what pushes it higher on my list, because it's so easy to mess up those timings. Coming in at number 37, we have Drummer Duel. Now, this is another repeat after me game, and because of it, it's pretty easy. It's a lot like Shoot 'em Up, but it's a lot faster than Shoot 'em Up, which is why it's higher. But I also really like this game. This is one of my favorites. But it gets hard on the sped up parts. Coming in at number 36, we have DJ School. Now, this is my personal favorite mini game, and because of it, I find it pretty easy. We are in the middle of the list, so it's not super easy. Some of the timings are hard to get, especially for the flicking, the scratcho. Coming in at number 35, we have Remix 4. Now, just a fun fact, this is actually the fastest rhythm game in the entire Rhythm Heaven franchise in terms of BPM. It doesn't seem like it. You'd think Remix 8 is, but this is actually the fastest rhythm game, just so you know. Now, this game isn't that hard. It's just some of the Love Lab parts catch me off guard sometimes. But it's fast, but it's not too hard. I also really like this remix. Coming in at number 34, we have Frog Hop. Now, this game, it's fun. I enjoy this game. It's not one of my favorites, but it is fun to play. Frog Hop 2 is a lot harder than this one, but this one's still tricky. Some of the cues come at you pretty fast. Coming in at number 34, we have Remix 5. This game it's a fun remix. I really enjoy this remix, and I like the theme of the remix. It looks really nice. It's not my favorite song, but it is a nice, easy remix, and it's very calm, and it feels like a remix. At number 32, we have Dog Ninja. Now, you'll probably remember that on my old favorite Rhythm Heaven DS games, this was the only one there that I didn't have a perfect on. That's because some of the timings are tricky. Like, it's easy to mess up these timings, but it is a very fun, simple game once you get used to it. Coming in at number 31, we have Airboarder. Now, this is the credits game, but that doesn't make it any easier or any harder. It's kind of tricky. Some of the timings are tricky, especially for the jumping. so I have a little bit of trouble with them, but they're not that hard. At number 30, we have Remix 7. This is my personal least favorite remix because it's very boring and drags on too long, in my opinion. It's pretty easy, but it drags on too long, which makes it easy to mess up, especially on the dazzles parts. Coming in at number 27, we have Karate Man. This game is very fun, and it is a Rhythm Heaven staple. It's actually the only Karate Man game where Karate Joe is on the right-hand side. Just a fun fact. He's on the left-hand side if you play left-handed, but if you play right-handed, he's on the right-hand side. Now, this game, it has some tricky timings with the punch-kick, but it is very fun once you get used to it. Coming in at number 28, we have Love Lab. Now, I don't really like this game very much. It's an easy game, it's very simple, but sometimes I don't know if it's just my DS, but sometimes the shaking doesn't register, which makes it really annoying to try and get a perfect on. Coming in at number 27, we have Rockers. Now, this game, it's pretty easy, but it can be hard when you first start it. It's a fun game, and I really enjoy it, but sometimes it can be hard when you first start. At number 26, we have Remix 3. Now, I'm just gonna say this remix is way harder than it should be. It's a very slow remix, but that doesn't make it any easier. Especially, there's a lot of dazzles parts, and the dazzles parts always catch me. And same with the crop stop parts. At number 25, we have Lockstep. Now, a lot of you guys might disagree with me on this one, but hear me out. I think this is easier than some of the other games because it's tricky when you first start, but once you get used to it, it's really easy, and it's also very, very fun. A challenge that I like doing is having them each a beat off, like half a beat off, having two games and then having them each a beat off, and then doing them at the same time. That's very fun to do, and a good challenge once you get Lockstep. Once Lockstep gets too easy for you. I will leave a link to the video where I got that idea from in the description. At number 24, we have Space Soccer. Now, this game is higher than Lockstep because I've played Lockstep a lot more, and because of that, Lockstep is easier for me. This game is also another really fun game, but some of the timings can be tricky. At number 23, we have Big Rock Finish. Now, this game used to be extremely hard for me, but then I figured out the rhythm. This game it's still tricky, but it's not as hard as it used to be. A cool thing about this game is that all of the little songs in it, they're in a random order, so it's a different order each time you play, which is interesting and also makes the game a little bit harder. I really enjoy this game now, though, and it's a very fun one once you get used to it. At number 23, we have Rhythm Rally. Now, I really enjoy this game, but it took me a long time to get good at it. But once you get good at it, it's not too hard. It's still tricky and very easy to mess up the timings, but it is a very fun game once you get used to it. At number 21, we have Munchie Monk 2. Now, this is the first sequel game on my list, and obviously the easiest sequel. Now, your opinion will definitely be different than mine. I'm a little bit biased because I find Munchie Monk so easy since I play it so much. I really enjoy this game, and I like the little elephants in the background. This game is very fun to do. It's an extended Munchie Monk, pretty much, and a little bit slower, but it is very fun. At number 20, we have the Dazzles. Now, let me just say, this is another one of those games that is way harder than it should be. And it's only hard, it looks easy, and in theory it's easy, but it's so hard because the timing to not miss is really precise. This is another one of those games where it's super hard to get a perfect on. It's not that hard to clear, but it's really hard to get a superb and a perfect on it, just because of those timings. At number 19, we have Lockstep 2. Now, this one is easier than Lockstep 1, but just barely. It's because of the different offbeats. This one has more of a jazz, bouncy feel. And I like this one. It's also slower, but I think being slower also makes it a little bit harder. At number 18, we have Built to Scale 2. This game is almost identical to Built to Scale 1, except for the different colors, and the fact that there's more widgets coming. The music is exactly the same, and the beats are the same, and the timings. It's just with some added faster widgets. Because of those faster widgets, this game is pretty tricky to get. It's easy to mess up the timing, basically, is what I'm trying to say. Which is why this game is higher on my list. Coming in at number 17, we have Fan Club 2. Now, there's not that much to say about this game, other than the fact that it has an extra queue, which isn't very difficult. It's just an extra queue. I mean, there's not that much to say about this. It's just an extended fan club with an extra queue. It's pretty boring. Coming in at number 16, we have Bluebirds 2. Now, this game is a lot harder than Bluebirds 1. It's faster, and I personally like the song better with the fast beat. But it is a very hard. It's not that hard, but it is a pretty tricky game, especially with these consecutive peck your beaks. At number 15, we have Space Soccer 2. There's not that much different between this game and the normal Space Soccer. This game is slightly harder because it is a little bit longer. I do like it, and it's also harder because there's more toe kicks in this game. I really do enjoy this game, though. It's a very fun game. At number 14, we have Shoot 'em Up 2. Now, this game is a lot harder than Shoot 'em Up 1, mainly because of the really fast ones, the ones that are like da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Those ones, they're hard for me because my brain makes it so that it's different. I don't know how to describe it. It's just hard. Coming in at number 13, we have Splashdown 2. This game is definitely harder than Splashdown 1. It's a lot faster. I don't think it's faster in terms of BPM, but it is definitely faster in terms of how many cues there are. Just by watching it, you would be able to see. It's like I said, it's definitely harder than Splashdown 1. And I enjoy this game. It's a nice challenge, but it is annoying for players who are just trying to complete the game. At number 12, we have Remix 9. It obviously is the second last remix, and because of that, it's gonna be hard. It's not a super hard remix, but it is definitely a challenge. Some of the transitions are very fast, especially the Space Soccer transitions. At number 11, we have Remix 6. This remix is really hard. Well, it's not. I guess it's number 11, so it is really hard. The hard part about this remix are the Space Soccer to Lockstep transitions. I know they should be easy because you're just keeping beat, but there's something about it. You gotta like wait, and it's really hard to do that without messing up, which is what makes this remix so hard. At number 10, we have Philbots 2. Now, this is one of the longest Rhythm Heaven games, I think. Well, no, not Rhythm Heaven games, but Rhythm Heaven DS games. It's a very long game, and it drags on, definitely. Like, it definitely drags on. But the reason it's so hard is, like I said, it's so long, and it's just so easy to mess up the timings. Especially with, like, the little guys. At number 7, we have Rockers 2. This game is definitely really hard. It's not, a lot of people say it's extremely hard, but it's not too hard. It's hard, the left buttons, to use the left button is weird, but once you get used to it, it's not that bad. But it is definitely, because of how long it takes to get used to it, that's why it's so high on my list. Or so low, I guess, in this case. At number 8, we have Karate Man 2. This game, the last 2 games on the list have been pretty long games. This game isn't exceptionally long, but it is definitely hard with some of the cues. Some of the pots come at you really fast. Yeah, it's just a hard game. At number 7, we have Rockers 2. This game is definitely really hard. It's not, a lot of people say it's extremely hard, but it's not too hard. It's hard, the left buttons, to use the left button is weird, but once you get used to it, it's not that bad. But it is definitely, because of how long it takes to get used to it, that's why it's so high on my list. Or so low, I guess, in this case. At number 5, we have Rhythm Rally 2. Now, you probably expect this one to be higher on the list, but I'm pretty biased for this one, because I've gotten a perfect on it, like, 6 times, I think, something like that. I think it was 3 times in Rhythm Heaven Megamix, and then, something like 4 times in Rhythm Heaven Megamix, and then 3 times in DS. Basically, it's hard, but I'm biased because I've done it so many times. But the timings never get easier. At number 4, we have Remix 8. You're probably expecting this one somewhere up here, and here it is. It's not the fastest remix, but it is definitely pretty close. It is a very fast remix, and this opening part with the Dog Ninja is actually pretty tricky. Once you get used to the timings, it's not that bad, but it's definitely hard. At number 3, we have Remix 10. This is a hard remix. It's a really fun remix and a very satisfying one, but it is definitely harder. Like, it's definitely a really hard remix. It's very fast. All of the games are faster, I think, except for maybe 3. But it is a very fun remix, but there are some parts, especially the Love Lizards part and the Dazzles parts are really hard. At number 2, we have the Dazzles 2. The Dazzles was hard enough, but then they threw in this game. This game is longer, not to mention the music is terrible. It's a very, very hard game. The timings are so easy to mess up. And this game took me so long to get a perfect on. This one and the number 1 game, which you guys probably already figured out, it's really hard. And the number 1 hardest Rhythm Heaven DS game is, without a doubt, Moai Doo-Wop 2. This game is so hard because, A, it's hard, it's long, like, it's not super long, but for how hard it is, it's long. It's very fast, and a lot of the times you mess up for no reason, which is also why this is the most annoying Rhythm Heaven DS game. It's just so annoying and so garbage to play. I hate this game with a passion. It's the hardest. There's nothing else to say. It's just the hardest. So there you have it. Every single Rhythm Heaven DS game ranked from easiest to hardest. Were your guys' opinions different? Please tell me in the comments below. I would love to hear your opinions. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Until next time,